What's poppin', my friends, my family? Welcome to a special edition of not necessarily Nick in prime time, Nick in the afternoon. What's poppin', my friends and family? There was massive news last night, and obviously I'm saddened as anti-imperialist, and I feel like I've been fighting to build an anti-war movement. You guys know this? I cover foreign policy around 95% of the time of my show. Even though I could cover like spicy topics like Erica Kirk and all that kind of stuff, but you guys know 95% of the time I'm locked in because our ruling class will not stop until they are stopped. And I'm heavily saddened because I feel like Americans failed Venezuelans. I feel like I've been having this burden since I read the news. I feel like I failed them. I feel like we failed the Venezuelan people. I tried to create this anti-war movement, guys. I've been on this for years, but I feel the heavy guilt. I don't know if I should. What's popping, Lefty Leo? What's popping? But I've been obsessed with building this anti-war movement. But for whatever reason, RBN didn't win over the American left. The United States left chose the tranquilizing drug of incrementalism. They chose to blind themselves to the reality of the evils of the United States empire by just being involved in electoral politics. So I'm saddened to see this news, and I feel like this is our failure. This is not the failure of China and Russia, even though they probably could. You can always hyperanalyze and ask what they could have done. But I see a lot of weak U.S. leftists, and I see them coping in a lot of ways. I don't blame them, blaming China and Russia, but you guys know what I'm about to say. This is our responsibility. There's nothing that China and Russia can do across all the way around the world, across the world. Putin gave Maduro anti-air missiles, and they wasn't used. There's reporting of a mole in Maduro's government. How like the questions like how could he possibly been taking this in such a way? But I want to say this for all the people who doubted Nicolas Maduro and his integrity. I hope you like all the leftists who were like condemn Maduro for not caring about the Venezuelan people. You couldn't be more wrong. And Maduro, at the end of the day, is an absolute Chad. And he will be remembered as a resistance hero who carried on the Bolivian revolution. Because Maduro could have sold out his people, especially after they murdered Hugo Chavez. He could have easily sold out the Venezuelan people, sold the sovereignty of his state. But he went out a leader fighting for the dignity and sovereignty of his people. When we see an era of African leaders, when we see an era of all these sellout Zionist propped up leaders around the world who sell their people out for a penny and a nickel, you guys realize that Nicolas Maduro is facing 3 life consecutive sentences. They send his ass to supermax prisons. And you guys think that they didn't make the offer to Nicolas Maduro for him to betray his people? Nicolas Maduro would rather be locked up in prison for the rest of his life instead of selling out his people. And he deserved much better. I think he did a great job managing Western imperialism, the sanctions on this country, which is why they couldn't defeat him at the ballot box. This is the result of the United States being unable to defeat Nicolas Maduro. They predicted he was going to lose last election. He did it because he had the Venezuelan people on his side. There are Venezuelan people in the street demanding the release of Nicolas Maduro. The Venezuelan people still remain unbroken. And I think that's because the leadership of Maduro and how he wanted to uphold the sovereignty of his state. So Nicolas Maduro could have lived such a fantastic bourgeoisie life if he did what the Western leaders wanted him to do. but he did it. Now he's serving the rest of his life in prison. And there's a good chance he was sold out by his inner circle. We got to be careful, guys, because I've seen a lot of reporting. But we are still in the fog of war. If you study history, you know that there's nonstop misinformation, especially by the establishment, to confuse, disorient, and panic the people of Venezuela. So you can take everything like I'm saying being reported as speculation, because you never know what is like pumped out misinformation taking advantage of the fog of war. But as far as I'm concerned, Maduro did everything he could. He stood firm and fast. It's just the ruling class has been absolutely locked in, fam. Like, it's crazy to see, man. Because my entire life, like the last 30 years, we have seen the United States empire take L after L, replacing the Taliban with the Taliban, wasting billions of dollars on the war on drugs. United States soldiers being snuffed out in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. That's why anti-war movements developed in the mid-2000s. Like, in a way, I guess we almost got too comfortable. But the establishment, they truly did pick themselves up by them bootstraps. And they locked in. Because they were preparing for World War III. The battle line for World War III has already started. We're already seeing the chess moves that the establishment is making in order to lock in on the upcoming conflict that they want, and they're going to get with China and Russia. You guys see, they're going to take whatever they want. Nothing's going to stop them. The Israeli West destroyed the concept of international law when they destroyed Gaza. You had the takeover of Syria, which many useful idiots in the Free Palestine movement cheered for. Now we see the fall of Venezuela. And now Zoran Mamdani and the Bernie Sanders left are trying to speak out against it now. Like, no, you guys spent years manufacturing consent, helping the empire delegitimize Nicolas Maduro for this exact moment. So they needed Venezuela to cut off the oil going to Cuba, controlling the Caribbean. The same way that they now have in Somaliland, they need to control very crucial ports and gulfs. They wanted to keep Russia hands tied with Ukraine. And we've been covering this for years. We've been covering how NATO proxy war in Ukraine cannot be won. And many people have been asking, like, man, why would the United States, why would the West spend so much resources on the proxy war in Ukraine if there's no chance of victory, which there have not been? The only thing they accomplished was getting India closer to China, strengthening the Russia and China relationship. Now, like, over the last year or so, the last 2-3 years, it's clear why. To keep Russia bogged down. The unhinged threats towards Taiwan. So China can be worried about that, prepare for that. The military bases in the South China Sea. The escalating tariff wars against China. Everything was to hold and keep Russia and China occupied as they continue to carve their own spheres of influence. As Donald Trump happily declared, the Monroe Doctrine is back. So here's Donald Trump. I can get through some receipts. I got a lot. We can go through a lot of the comments that we are seeing on Twitter, anything that's breaking. But this is, I cannot emphasize enough how seismic of a shift in the global order that this is. Cuba, which Donald Trump and his administration already claimed is next, they're going to be cut off from Venezuelan oil. The Cuban government is going to suffer even more. And the American people, we need to brainstorm a way to defeat these psychopaths. Because I need people to touch grass in a way. Because we've covered how in 2026, the Zionist-controlled media, I know you guys probably see some of these on the X side of the stream, because X is filled with these neocon bots. Remember those stories I shared with you guys of how Zionists is going to invest billions of dollars into bots into information warfare online in the beginning of 2026, we are seeing that in overdrive right now. Like the amount of neocon bots, like they are attacking me, they're attacking anyone who is telling the truth about this conflict. But the internet is fake. Like the internet is dead. The internet is AI and controlled by the government. The American people do not want this. And it's very important to us to understand that. It's very important for us to come together. Do not be distracted by these fake accounts that are bought by the Zionists online. We need the way that the ruling class locked in and destroyed Gaza, destroyed Syria, and what they're doing to Venezuela. We need the working class to lock in right now. No more culture wars. No more distractions. No more electoral tranquilizing drugs. We need an anti-war movement right now. We need it yesterday. I tried in RBN. We still got a lot of work to do. We're still a young organization. I'm a young activist. But I swear on my dying breath, I will never concede to this global order that you guys are creating. I will rally my family. I will rally my friends. They already don't support you. I got everyone I know to disavow U.S. imperialism. The RBN audience disavow U.S. imperialism. The American people is not for U.S. imperialism. We live in a capitalist dictatorship where the interests of the American people are suppressed. You have the American people that are facing record medical bankruptcies as the price of healthcare skyrockets. We're seeing the American dream stripped from the American working class as the millennials and young Gen X, they are not able to afford homes. You have Elon Musk in the billionaire class who's upset because they lost a supply of worker robots, because they are upset because the birth rate is low. You guys know why the birth rate is dropping? It's because the United States ruling class failed the American people to the point where people don't feel like they can even start families. So don't let the internet trick you. Don't let these fake bots, these fake neocon accounts who prop up other neocon influencers trick you. We have the people on our side. We just need to get to work. I roll my eyes, and I'm not saying there's not an analysis to be there about the role of China and Russia and what they could do to be a check to the United States. Yes, that analysis exists. But there's nothing that frustrates me. It makes me roll my eyes when I see Americans wishing for China and Russia to bail you out. A lot of people have been misunderstanding. Russia and China is not your revolutionary hero. They are supported by their people because what they provide to their people. They represent the interests of their working class, which is why Putin is supported by his government. They are taking care of their national security, which is why Chinese people support Xi Jinping in the reunification of Taiwan. The Russian people support Putin in this special military operation because the job of the Russian ruling class is to take care of their people first and foremost. So I'm tired of seeing weak leftists being like, oh my God, why won't Putin and China do something for us? It's up to us, you lazy asshole. And we failed. The anti-war movement failed. And I was extremely enthusiastic when I was a young teenager during the war against terrorism, anti-terrorist war protests in the mid-2000s, protesting George W. Bush, and then people fell off. Barack Obama was a tranquilizing drug. Then Bernie Sanders became the tranquilizing drug. Bernie Sanders told you to vote for a neocon. Then you guys decided that Zoran Mamdani is going to be your hero, and you went to sleep at the table. You went to sleep on the wheel. And we failed. So I'm not, and I can't emphasize this enough, because I'm not trying to silence criticisms of Russia and China, but when I see people focus their main criticism on Russia and China, it's obviously that you don't understand the assignment. The global majority is not looking at Russia and China and like, hey man, what are you going to do about the United States empire? You guys realize that, right? The global majority is not looking at Russia and China to liberate them from the United States imperialism. They are looking at us. I've talked to my Chinese brothers and sisters on the Red Note. I talk to people from all over the world on the channel. Do my platform on X. You know what they bring up to me all the time? They're not talking about Putin and G. They are saying, why aren't the American people protesting? They're looking at us like, how can you guys be okay with the massive amount of evil that your government is complicit with? You guys can't even protest Disney. You guys can't even protest Zionist companies. You got dipshit American leftists saying shit like, we need to organize Starbucks. We need a unionized Starbucks. The fuck you talking about? I don't want to unionize Starbucks. Starbucks deserves to be destroyed after funding the genocide in Gaza. I want to see it broken up into 100 different coffee chains because it was complicit with genocide. That's the level the United States left should be at. Because if your main priority isn't anti-imperialism, as a leftist, what exactly are you accomplishing? What is your goal? You want a larger slice of the imperial pie? You want Starbucks workers to make more in profit as their company fund the IDF and the genocidal regime in Israel? Like, I need everyone to get serious. Do you guys understand why I have aneurysms and why I melt down almost every damn stream? Because I'm pulling my hair watching the discourse for people not understanding the assignment. But I guess I gotta take responsibility for that too, because it's our job to organize the working class. And I will always take personal responsibility. You're not gonna see me be one of them pussies that, oh, GDP, come on, help me. No, it's on us. I'm gonna make a joke. I had a few jokes about like GDP liberate the American working class, but it's jokes. Our priority needs to be holding this pedophile Jeffrey Epstein ruling class accountable. So that's my damn near 20-minute intro monologue on my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. I've been following this nonstop 24/7. I would have went live earlier today. I would have joined DDG stream, but I had to help my sister move. I had to help my family move. You guys know I'm the muscle of the family. So I had to do all the heavy shit. my back, my glutes hurt. But I'm the muscle. That's what I do, man. My family needs some help. They hit me up. I'll carry your dresser drawer up your flights of stairs. So I was doing that earlier. I was tired as hell, but there was no way I wasn't going to jump on live to see what you guys were saying about that. So let me read some comments here. I had this video up forever. I should have had this. Damn it. I should have had this screen up. Oh, well. I think you guys care more about listening to my ranting and raving and looking at my face. I'm not here to be a sex symbol. I'm not a fucking sex symbol. You guys are here to listen to my rage. This is Syria 2.0. It's sad, man. I was about to say we are entering an era of barbarism, but this is nothing new, man. Like I need to stop saying stuff like that. Yeah, this is the ruling class just going back to their own playbook, the old playbook. They murdered millions of Vietnamese. They murdered millions of Koreans. This is not the first rodeo taken out. So I gotta be careful when I say like, oh my God, we are really plunged into darkness. I understand. I'm not mad at people for saying that because the initial reaction, like, holy fuck, man, humanity is becoming extremely dark. But you must understand that this is what the ruling class does. This is what the Western-controlled ruling class does. They commit genocides. They wipe out entire countries for not following the direction of the United States. Look at what they did in Panama 30 years ago. You got to realize that, comparably, Nicolas Maduro has got off extremely lucky. Even the fact that he was captured alive. They just murdered world leaders. So this is nothing new. So I had to catch myself. I almost was like, damn, this is the worst thing ever. No, this is old school Monroe doctrine, but we are seeing it with the internet. They didn't have it with the internet when we had torture camps ran by Henry Kissinger in the 70s. When it was toppling, when they had United States sponsored Contra torture death sites in the 80s under Ronald Reagan. Can you imagine? Like if people saw that. So I actually want to change that. I'm not going to say what everyone else is saying, that this is the worst thing to happen in international law ever. No, I just want you guys to know this is what every single generation of the ruling class has done. We were just the first ones who were able to see it. And then they look at us like fucking gangsters, like, hey, pussy, what are you going to do about it? Which is apparently nothing, man. Here's trying this video up forever, man. Let's listen to this. This is Donald Trump essentially saying that they're going to take over Venezuela, which is why I named this stream Free Venezuela. So here, Trump.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty.
Yeah, the kidnapping of a president is new, but they used to just kill him. They used to just kill him. But let's continue with Trump.
Justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country.
So the Venezuelan people are furious at this. I've seen so much footage of people here in the streets calling for the return of Maduro. So what happens when the Venezuelan people refuse to accept United States rule? We're going to see massive destabilization. The vice president of Venezuela and the Venezuelan military minister, they're saying we will continue to resist. They're calling for the return of Maduro. So what's going to happen when the Venezuelans resist U.S. occupation? We have then a disaster on our hands. Are we, the American taxpayer, are we going to pay for an occupying force in Venezuela? For what? Just for a capitalist class to plunder the resources that even the American people, this is what social democrats complain about. They're like, we don't even see the benefits of this imperialism. This is going to spiral and become a disaster real quick. So are we going to see a massive occupation of United States soldiers in Venezuela? In that case, Venezuelans have the right to shoot to kill. And this is why I made a lot of neocon bots upset, because during this said United States occupation, every single United States soldier who gets sent back home in a body bag because a Venezuelan patriot wanted to take them out, they deserve it. And I'm going to celebrate every single time I see one of these United States soldiers, these stormtrooper bootlickers come back in a body bag. I'll feel bad for anyone who take a shortcut from class war. Everyone else who wants education and healthcare, we engage in class war to obtain that. Meanwhile, the United States soldier become a hired gun for the Zionist-controlled pedophile elite, and they illegally invade countries, destroy their sovereignty. And people like, when they come home, like, oh, God bless the troops. Oh my God, I can't believe the troops died. Fuck them. I can't wait to see them come back in body bags after this occupation. Because a lot of people say now, like, oh, well, we got away with it, no casualties. Once again, the ruling class is locked in. It was a crazy military operation. But guys, we're just getting started. What does it mean to maintain this? The Venezuelan government, based on what I've seen thus far, they're still maintaining a defiant tone. So what happens when we occupy Venezuela and we're not welcomed? Because the job is not done. I hope one of these patriots take them out, man. And if you're a Venezuelan, or if you're someone fighting for your sovereignty in your country, fighting against the United States, you have the right now. I don't like international law is dead. It's always been dead, but Israel and the United States straight up killed it, especially the last 3 years. I don't want to hear shit about anything else no more. So if you're around the world, you have the right to capture United States soldiers. You have the right to capture United States politicians. The global order has been completely destabilized because of these monsters. And you have the right to kidnap as many United States officials and soldiers that you want. And if you're Venezuelan, you should kidnap and hold ransom United States soldiers and demand the return of Nicolas Maduro. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but this is the world order that we're in now. There is no jurisdiction. Actually, I need to read some comments. What's our question? Damn it. Our chat is moving fast as hell, boy. We got almost 2,000 people watching on YouTube, X, and Twitch. I'm going to read some comments because I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts as well. You guys know I'm down to rant, but I want to read their comments. One thing I will say, as we get to super comments and whatever chats I can catch, if you want me to read your comment, you got to leave a super because things are going, our chat is going so fast right now. I will say this. I said it 1,000 times. Like, liberals hate this man and his father, Kim Jong-il. But Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un provided the blueprint, and they protected and defended the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people. People wonder why the Korean people support their government. They're like, oh man, they must be brainwashed. No, the Korean people have pride in the Kim family that stood and took up arms against the genocidal West instead of selling out to the capitalist class who was planning to exploit the Korean people, who murdered 2 million of the Korean people, unlike the fascist traitors in South America who helped the United States kidnap and torture their own countrymen because they was thirsty for power and because they were losing the Korean Revolution. The South was completely surrounded before the United States got in. They was getting their ass beat. And the fake-ass South Korea, full of fascists and traitors, betrayed their own countrymen and murdered 2 million of them with the Yankees in order to get power. Not the Kim family, though. The Kim family stood strong and led the Korean people against their criminal occupiers. And liberals in the American establishment will never forgive them for it. This is why liberals hate them. They hate them because they got nukes. The biggest mistake that Gaddafi made, the biggest mistake that every other country made, they didn't pursue the same thing. And if in this new world order, it needs to be understood that if you do not have nuclear weapons, you do not have sovereignty. True say ideology. The Kim family has done an amazing job defending the Korean people, providing for the Korean people despite Western sanctions and economic blockades. Just like Nicolas Maduro, Kim Jong-un refused to sell out to the West. He's been an enemy of the Zionist pedophile elite for decades, him and his family. And that's why the average shit-lib U.S. imperialist can't stand this man. But that's why the Koreans love him. Because even with any imperfection that he may have, the Kim family was there fighting for them. The Kim family was there to provide them with houses and health care. There's not millions of people homeless in North Korea. They have housing. We have millions of Americans who are housing insecure. Countless people on the streets. And then people want to turn around like, oh my God, look how the North Korean government treats their people. In the United States, your life will be ruined if you go have a medical emergency. Then your ass will be put through medical debt. Your ass is one layoff away. The average worker in the United States is one layoff away from deep poverty, from being homeless. People with generational wealth, they will never understand the stress that the average American goes through. That's why we have a fucking mental health crisis. That's why Americans are depressed and lonely. That's why our life expectancy rate is lower than countries like Cuba, who is embargoed. So before I get into super chats, I can't emphasize enough how to. I need global movement to study what the North Koreans have done to make it so they cannot be victims. Kim Jong-un is sleeping like a baby every night because he didn't follow the bullshit that of nuclear way when disarmed their nuclear weapons. That was a horrible mistake by the global majority. And now, like I said here, that's why the United States could never pull something like this against them. Global resistance movements have a lot to learn from the DPRK. All right, let's get into comments now. I've been ranting. We 30 minutes in, so I'm gonna see what other receipts we can cover and break down some news and updates. But I also want to see what you guys are saying. So here's Bertuzzo. I had to delete Instagram. Apparently, there are folks that I follow who really don't need and only frauds to prove that they're prostitutes for regime change. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anyone who's actually real who follows me will ever support regime change in Venezuela. But if you like, you need to realize that there's like so much empire bots now. They are programmed into overdrive. The empire propaganda is running in overdrive on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. Washington Post put out an op-ed defending this. We're gonna be hit with psyop for everywhere you go. So if they're really friends of yours, you're like, they're folks that I follow. Wow, that's crazy. I don't think anyone I follow will fall for this bullshit. The American people is not falling for this bullshit. Yeah, Scam Donnie now trying to save face. Like, bro, you're the ones who did propaganda on behalf of the United States empire, legitimizing the fact that Nicolas Maduro is a tyrant that must be overthrown. Well, no, I can find it because I cussed him out earlier today. Dude, I need to find a. Oh, here it is. Here's Mom Donnie trying to do damage control. I will brief this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal international law. This is what all the Democrats are saying now. This is good. But you did propaganda for him. This is what I said. Maybe you shouldn't have. Look, I almost got 1,000 likes on this boy. Maybe you shouldn't have legitimized the empire talking points about Nicolas Maduro, you youthful idiot. Everyone who helped spread United States propaganda that led to this moment is complicit. I'm sorry. I guess you just, if you want to pat yourself on the back for making good comments now, you already did the propaganda for the ruling class. And when will the left learn that the neocon establishment will never be okay? They will never be satisfied with you just like, yeah, I actually agree that Putin is a dictator. I agree that Putin is a tyrant, but I just don't believe we should wage war against Putin. They don't give a fuck about that second part you said. The only thing they need is that first part. This is what the Dr. Cornel West, social democrats don't understand. They be like, man, Nicolas Maduro, he's a tyrant, he's a dictator, but I don't think we should invade them. They don't give a fuck about that. Everything that come after that, but they just need you to help legitimize their imperial actions. In an age where the left become complicit with this, needs to end. This is why I'm unapologetically tanky. My mind is decolonized. I unapologetically am skeptical of everything the United States government tells us because there's nothing patriotic about being a government bootlicker. Wanting to hold your pedophile ruling class accountable for breaking international law is the highest form of what people will call patriotism. But the United States people are brainwashed. They think patriotism is worshiping a flag and supporting the talking points of neocon criminals. And this is what the left failed to do. This is what I always bring up to the people on the right. There are people on the right like, oh my God, look, you're a traitor. And I ratio them every single time. I could show you guys a few examples, but you can look at it on my page. Well, I'm like, you think that I'm a traitor to my country because I don't buy into Mike Pompeo slot propaganda? You're not a patriot. You're a bootlicker. You're, in fact, I would say you're failing in your obligation in a democracy to hold your government accountable. There is no one who is more patriotic than a person who attends an anti-war protest and want to hold their criminal ruling class accountable. The fact that Americans don't understand this is maddening to me. You guys think neocons are patriots? You think you're a patriot because you support the agenda of the military-industrial complex and Palantir? You see the military-industrial complex making record money, and you're like, man, I support their war. I support their agenda. I'm a patriot. As your people are starving. Your people don't have health care. Your cities are falling apart. The American working class are suffering, but you think you're a patriot because you support the talking points of the ruling class? Americans are lost, man. The only thing that helps me feel a little better is that the Venezuelans apparently wouldn't fire a single shot to defend their own sovereignty. So why am I letting me? The reason why you should be upset, and I guess this is your way to cope with it, is because this is a failure on our behalf. Like, was we really expecting the Venezuelan people to be able to repel the United States military? Such a thing would be an act of human history legend. We should be upset because we failed to hold the people accountable. This is what I was saying. Now, if you want to pass the buck on people that are victims of your taxpayer money, then I guess that's a way to feel better. But that's very American of you. I'm sure you don't mean that. And I appreciate the final thought there. I think you're just upset. I understand it. Like, I was rage tweeting. I was like, fuck U.S. soldiers. I was like, fuck the military. Fuck Donald Trump. I get it, man. I'm not going to judge you. I get it. But we can't turn a blind eye to this. The Venezuelan people was put in a horrific position. The same with people in Gaza who cheer for ceasefires, even though they have the right to fight for the entirety of Palestine. We can't judge them. He said, do you believe that this is an inside job? It's very likely, but I'm not going to say for sure. Like I said, everything I'm saying today is speculation. There's a lot of fog of war. But I covered how Russia sent anti-air missiles. They sent military equipment to the Venezuelan government. And there is mainstream media reporting. That's why you have to be careful with it. In mainstream media reporting, they do this all the time to demoralize whatever government, the people of the government they're trying to overthrow. So it's very possible that what they're reporting is meant to demoralize the Venezuelan people. So it's very important for you to be skeptical of these reports. But there is a report that there's CIA people outside of Venezuelan military, which is why they was able to locate Maduro. They were tracking him and giving the information to the CIA. Why didn't Venezuela use any of the anti-air missiles and equipment that they were just showing off that Russia gave them? So once again, I understand the anger reflex that many people have. Like, man, why isn't Russia doing more? Russia sent them anti-airs, guys. Russia sent them military supplies. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, why wasn't they used? Why wasn't there a shot? How was it so easy? Once again, I guess the ruling class in the United States have been extremely locked in. Would love to get your perspective on organizing in the West. Most Westerners don't care about these things, don't think it's their problem, and live in relative comfort with a petite bourgeois aspirations. This is my experience. Yeah, the American working class is very tied to the illusion of bourgeoisie success, but they could be reached. And I had success, and if you're new on my channel, you probably, if you've been on my channel for a while, you hear us talk about this all the time. We got to meet people. We need to have conversation with people. We need to meet their needs with mutual aid. And I think we need, I'm not an anarchist. Like, I don't understand when people are like, man, we need no political parties. No political parties. No, we need an anti-war party. We need a party that is going to be unapologetically fighting for the American working class. And at this stage, we need a third party that is willing to completely reject Zionism and be like adversarial to the Zionist empire. The American people are there. Young Republicans are waiting for a party to sprung up to fight against Zionism. So people in the West, they rely on politicians. They organize based on electing politicians, which is that's the tranquilizing drug the left fall for. So instead of actually building these coalitions of the 88 million people who did not vote last election, because people are worried about Democrat and Republican, there are 88 million people in this country that do not vote because they don't want to vote and give power to the Epstein elite. We need to give these people an alternative. We need to show up. And we need to make the demands of the working class and anti-war movements clear to them. And if we are able to get a massive cohesive movement started, and we can get some big events popping, we can get some and we get people all in on independent media, we can legitimately start a movement that challenges the ruling class. But none of this is going to happen within a duopoly, which is why I'm adversarial towards DSA. I'm adversarial towards Dave Smith Ian Carroll and all those dipshit libertarians who told everyone that Donald Trump was anti-war for the last few years in order to grift off MAGA followers. I don't want to be your friend if you're part of MAGA. I don't want to be part of your friends if you're a Democrat. There are 88 million Americans that are not buying this bullshit. These are the people we need to organize with. We need to figure out a way to activate them. Because when you bring up the crimes of the ruling class, when asked about what your feelings about Venezuela and never-ending war, the American people want peace. I think as a mass we're confused and we don't know how to accomplish that. Amen, Nick. As a former Army officer, what you in Rome stated is true. Let my family know we must declare total anti-war for working class humanity. The boomers and Gen X, they really gave up fighting the foreign policy machine. But everything I've seen, our generation, younger millennials, Gen Z, they're way more foreign policy focused than the boomers who just gave the keys to the John McCain class. Boomers gave the keys to the John McCain class. We're just gonna let them do foreign policy. Let's focus on domestic policy. Hey man, I'm not saying that with our generation. I say our generation is locked in on Gaza. Our generation is locked in on what the NATO proxy war is doing and how they steal our taxpayer money. So I would never be a nihilist on the future because what's the point? I will always be a revolutionary optimist and think about what we can do because what is exactly the point otherwise? So as I see the failure of ending the Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein pedophile machine, I don't think for a single second that, oh man, I guess I need to withdraw. Oh man, I guess I need to focus on. No, I will fucking die fighting these people. Because that gives us purpose. If you're not doing everything you can to make life better for the future, of holding the criminal oligarchs that are suppressing our interests, our violent criminal ruling class, you're wasting your time. I studied history. I've seen there's countless stories of white peasants' lives being wasted because they just followed the whims of their monarch. They follow the whims. Like if you study history, if you study how working class people have suffered throughout every single empire because they treated their rulers as gods instead of public servants, it's through studying history that gives me purpose. The purpose that I will never, ever be a victim of this capitalist class, of this. I would never, I should say, I would never submit to the will of the capitalist class. Will I be successful in dismantling the war machine? Who knows, man? We have a fight like no one has ever seen before. Now you can study all the revolutions in history that you want, but there has never been a people like the people in the West, the NATO-occupied West, the Europeans whose energy costs are skyrocketing. Their quality of life is going through the shitter. There has never been a revolutionary task of life that we have to face right now, but I am up for it. What else are we going to do? Watch Netflix and jack off? There's nothing else to do other than revolution. There's nothing else that is a higher calling than providing a better life for my nieces and my younger cousins. So let's lock in. Because when I see this, yes, I'm sad for the Venezuelan people. But when I read this news, I was texting our RBN friends, my friends here, and I'm thinking about let's lock in. Let's figure out how to destroy the Epstein class. All right, let's go through some receipts. I want to read some comments. I guess I'll present a little bit more today because, as you guys see, I had a lot to get on my chest. It's scientific, brother. Like we don't know where we're gonna take, but it's a science that as temperature boil, as the ruling class continue to take and take, as they continue to push and push, because we know that they will never concede. So just to put a little revolutionary optimism, and I hope you guys believe this as well, it is a science that revolution is inevitable. Throughout history, oligarchs violently suppress the interests of the people, violently put down protests and revolutions. You understand that people revolted where they have governments that will outright torture you to death. Like the kind of medieval torture they put revolutionaries through during the Middle Ages, but people still did it. Because one thing that is an undeniable science is that the temperature reaches a boiling point of what the people can accept. And I will admit that the tolerance of the American people for taking ruling class bullshit is probably one of the highest thresholds that we have ever seen. Like, it's probably the highest threshold of pain that will be possible of how much bullshit that they got to take that we ever seen. But it will reach that point. As a revolutionary, as a Marxist, we've been trying to get people on that revolutionary spirit before it becomes even more tragic. Because what's going to take? More people dying without health care? More people going through medical bankruptcies? More people being murdered by a police state? Our First Amendment right being completely strict? What would it take? We are trying to get the revolution before it becomes scientifically to the boiling point where things become tragic, where people have no other choice but to revolt because because their bellies are hungry, because there's no jobs, because the AI revolution is going to steal our work and our futures. I don't want it to get there. I don't want accelerationism to be our strategy. But that is what the ruling class will force us into unless we do what our part in promoting revolutionary thought and social change. I wish I could read more comments, but I'm almost an hour in. Fuck it. I guess it's going to be one of those streams, huh? I still got a lot of share. So this is just rank imperialism. This is why I was explaining earlier how this is the United States preparing for World War III. This is the new global order that the West decided they had to go in order to match China and the rise of BRICS. So the West would love to promote the idea of international law. They would love to promote the idea of a rules-based order. But at the end of the day, if they are threatened and the rise of China and multipolarity 100% threatened them, they would throw those rules out, and that's what they're doing now. We're seeing Donald Trump pressure Greenland. We're seeing the establishment of Somaliland, so Israel and the United States will have access to those ports, key and crucial ports. We have seen the British ruling class essentially destroy the sovereignty of our brothers and sisters in the Middle East by installing Muslim Zionist puppets in the Gulf states. Yeah, you already know it's going to be one of those long rant streams. You guys know I'm going to need some support. I'm going to need some super stickers because it's going to be one of those days. I had a long day, helping my family move, and I can still spare a long rant stream for you guys tonight. I'll have a new show with Jamal Thomas going to start next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Every Sunday, me and Jamal Thomas, we're going to get together. We're going to do a super show discussing geopolitics. It's going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely the energy that this channel 100% needs. All right. Since I was ready tonight, let's see how fast I can go through a lot of these receipts. Yeah, I love Jamal. Jamal's great. Like, every time that me and Jamal have done a show, like, I've been on his channel a few times. I had him on my channel. Every time those episodes been fire. Like we one of the people that we can bounce ideas off each other forever. Like, he's very well read. He's one of those people I don't have to carry him. Like, I don't have to carry Jamal at all as a personality. We got a lot of things we want to talk about. So that's gonna be a great program. I'm looking forward to it. Big shout out to my friend Jamal. Yeah, multipolarity did take a big hit. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people like to attack Russia and China, but I don't like the world is in such a precarious position with our deranged ruling class having the amount of power and firepower that they have. The recent conquest, like any move that China and Russia makes that is a misstep, it will have drastic consequences for their own people. So multipolarity has taken a giant blow the last few years, and I guess like we was talking about this like a few years ago. You guys remember how we was covering the rise of BRICS, the rise of multipolarity, and we was asking like what is the ruling class going to do about the rise of China, the partnership between Russia and China, India willing to be part of the axis of BRICS when the United States has been trying to pull India here. As China and Russia gain more influence in Africa, we used to ponder this kind of stuff. We'd be like, man, how is the ruling class in the West going to respond? We've seen it now. We've seen it in Gaza. We've seen it in Venezuela. It's just old school, might makes right, global order. And if you don't have a nuke, you're a target. You better be prepared to give up your sovereignty. This is a game changer. Like, this is what this receipt is explaining here. Here's a great tweet. This is in response to Donald Trump saying he's going to take over the oil. Actually, I didn't play this clip. I was too busy talking. Here's the clip I wanted to play. Like, Donald Trump in the United States is going to take over the oil companies officially. And this is a game changer. So let me play this clip, and then I get into why this is such a big deal.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. As everyone.
And if you thought this was about anything else other than oil, if you thought this was about drugs, which I think most Americans didn't, which is why most Americans opposed this, you obviously look stupid. This was rank imperialism, and this is what the ruling class had to do because they were panicking as we are seeing a rise of a new order with China and Russia being a dominant force as BRICS. So this is what the United States have to do. They have to do this kind of stuff in order to be competitive in this game of geopolitics, this deadly game of geopolitics that they're playing. So this is an absolute game changer. The United States now has control of 303 billion barrels of crude oil reserves because the Trump administration, the neocon class, is not even hiding about what their intentions are. Even if the United States sell this oil for half of the market rate, that's still $8.7 trillion. In other words, in 12 hours, the United States has gained control of oil reserves worth more than the entire GDP of all countries in the world, aside from US and China. You guys see why this was such a big deal for our capitalist imperialist system? This is why if you say stuff like if Russia is imperialist, while you are absolutely batshit crazy and you literally fed-pilled, imperialism is a system. It's an economic system of imperialism. The control of natural resources, the vast control of markets, who control financial markets. We're seeing the United States double down and triple down on this in preparation for the incoming Chinese century and confrontation with China over Taiwan. Most people do not realize how much the world has changed. And we will see how the oil market will react to this. We just see a gigantic power play by the West. Once again, the ruling class has been locked in. Absolutely locked in. And they won't stop. They absolutely will not stop until this anti-war movement that I'm proposing takes shape. Because now you got Donald Trump threatening Claudia Sheinbaum, another leader who we praise because she rejected austerity. She rejected neoliberalism. Like she's more center leftist. She's not a Marxist, but she believes in providing strong labor protections, which is why the minimum wage rose, which is why poverty has decreased in Mexico. And ever since Claudia Sheinbaum decreased poverty in Mexico, the ruling class has made their mind up that she has to go. Mexico exists for the neoliberal class to implement austerity. So here's Donald Trump threatening Claudia Sheinbaum?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. Yeah. But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico. Well,
so who armed the cartels? The United States armed the There have been so many examples of guns found owned by cartels that came directly from United States industry. The CIA worked hand in hand with the cartel in Mexico. But all you have to do is tell white people, like, oh my gosh, she can't control the cartel. The cartel is a United States creation. They wouldn't be a thing without United States drug supply, without United States arm transfers that go to them all the time, mysteriously. So the cartel is a United States creation. You want to know who's excited about this? Maria Corina Machado, who described the massive invasion and bombing of her own country. And it's been reported that members of the Venezuelan military, that there was casualties here. Once again, we in the fog of war, so take everything with a grain of salt. But this is the person who is cheering on the grand looting of the Venezuelan people. And Trump today said, hey, man, you know how we said we wanted Maria Corina Machado to be president? Nah, that's actually not going to happen. Trump was like, Maria Corina Machado, she don't have it. She don't have the support of Venezuelan people. Which is why this occupation is going to be so disastrous. Because Maria Corina Machado is considered a joke in Venezuela. Can you imagine the massive mistake it would be to give her power and control of Venezuela at this time? And Trump realized that. That's why he said earlier today that it will be the United States taking control until they can have a rigged democratic process that they will enable once they have the country under control. But what happens if the Venezuelan people don't vote in a way that the United States don't support? What happens if the Venezuelan people don't even support the institutions that the United States put in place for this said democratic transfer? There's so many things that can turn this to a disaster that will lead to a future United States occupation where we have more United States soldiers there who are a fair target to anyone who wanted to resist that occupation. So we don't have time today, but I'm going to have my friend Sarah from DDG join me on Monday. We're going to break down a lot of the reactions on this, but it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that the Democratic Party and liberal corporate media is largely supportive of this action. I was watching a lot of, not Fox News, because I can't stomach that, but I saw a few segments from MSNBC and CNN, and they essentially were like, yo, this operation was dope. It was like, I wish we could have had congressional approval, because I want credit too. Fucking Donald Trump hogging all the credit. Give us congressional votes. We want credit for this too. But MSNBC and CNN, they're like, bro, this is the greatest thing of all time. Like, here's Erin Burnett, who is trending and going viral because, bro, she can hardly contain her excitement as she describes the United States taking over Venezuela.
Venezuela has a population of 30 million people, and now that is owned by the United States. Just to think about it from such a simple black and white set of numbers like that.
Venezuela, look how excited she is. She's like, Venezuela got 30 million people. Now it's owned by the United States.
Venezuela has a population of 30 million people, and now that is owned by the United States. Just to think about it from such a simple black and white set of numbers like that.
Every single liberal in the corporate media is ecstatic over this. This is a giant win for the neocon class. They have a lot of them. There are a lot of slaughters. There are a lot of invasions of sovereignty that these people have been responsible for in my lifetime. This is another one. This is another big moment for them. The neocons on CNN and MSNBC can hardly contain their excitement. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see these people super excited about this win that they achieved, doesn't it make you feel upset? Like, doesn't it hurt in a way? Like, when you see these bots on Twitter, when you see these right-wing propagandists brag about their imperial conquest, because that's what they're doing. When you see corporate media laugh at Nicolas Maduro, despite the fact he stood there with his people. Like Andrew Yang. Like Andrew Yang was another one. Yeah, I saw his tweet. Maybe I should bring it up. I know someone DM'd me his tweet. Do I have people DM me shit all day? all the crazy that. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Andrew Yang, like, this is great. Every single liberal, like, this is fantastic for the Venezuelan people. I might have done a different strategy, but they're like, man, I can't believe Trump pulled it off. I'm gonna show you the EU response to that. I'm gonna show you exactly why. I unapologetically root for Russia and China against our fascist ruling class. Because everyone in the EU, after pretending they care about the territorial sovereignty of states when defending Nazis, they love what's going on. Here's the Washington Post explaining how there's justice in Venezuela. And don't believe the bullshit. There's all these video clips of quote-unquote Venezuelans celebrating. If you fall for that, you're honestly a rube. Like, it's the oldest trick in the book. Like, the empire can easily find some paid protesters they can film. But I've seen just as much, more Venezuelan people on the ground furious, calling for the United States to provide justice for Maduro and the Venezuelan sovereignty to be restored. So I don't have to explain that to you guys why that's complete horseshit. But there's a lot of military, like, you can tell that neocons, they're gonna be masturbating to the details of this story for quite some time. Look, details are still emerging, but what happened in Caracas was a clear reminder that America's military and intelligence capabilities are second to none. Which is true. They really locked in after all the failures that they had in my lifetime, all the wars that they lost over the last few decades. I will admit, they have truly locked in, and the world needs to be prepared for that fact that they are ready. And now, like, this was a giant morale boost for the neocon class. Now, like, we can take. I see, like, you see Zelensky, like, come on, let's take Putin. Come on, let's kidnap Putin now. Shit, let's take. There are people on the right. Let's take Greenland now. Like, bro, the neocon swag right now is at a 10. Is that a 10? And I really can't, my friend. I really cannot criticize the genocidal Europeans harsh enough. The Europeans and the NATO establishment is the enemy of humanity. Like, the British Empire is the most evil empire regime we have seen in modern history. And the United States took that baton and they cranked it to a 10. And then you had their little pet colonial projects like the Zionist projects. Yeah, man, there's so much news to go through. God damn. I would love to see what Hakeem Jeffries tweet. I already saw, like, I got people send me. I need to look at my inbox. I got so much shit people send me. All right, let's get into it. Fuck it. Let's get into some reactions and how the liberal. This part will remind you that the liberal establishment is our complete and utter enemy. Like, don't fall for Trump derangement syndrome. Obviously, he is probably one of the greatest traitors of humankind, but Trump is a puppet. This is what John Bolton wanted forever. This is what Marco Rubio wanted. This is what the deep state wanted forever. So trust me, I had insane Trump derangement syndrome over the last few days. I have insane Trump derangement syndrome right now. But do not allow Trump derangement syndrome to blind you from the reality that this was supported by the entire regime. That if Kamala Harris won in the last election, they would have did the same exact goddamn thing. I cannot let people emphasize that, because here's Andrew Yang. This is another perfect example of how most people's representation of the Overton window is completely full of shit. You know how dumbass Americans think that, oh, there's a left and there's a right. People like Nick, we on the far left. Then there are centrists like Andrew Yang. Then yeah, Nancy Pelosi is center left. And then you have Donald Trump who's a little bit far right. No, fam, there's us who is centrists who support peace. The majority of the American people support peace. The majority of American people support healthcare. The majority of the American people are against corruption. There's us in the center. I might be a little bit center left. I will admit it. I definitely on the left. Then there's the fucking far right, and that's where the Democratic Party starts. Andrew Yang and them start at the far right. The United States and the Zionist regime is far right compared to every single party across the world. Just to understand how far right the ruling class in the United States is, the Tories in the UK, who are extreme fascist and also right wing, at least they believe in some form of social health care in the NHS. They have to virtue signal support for the NHS. Yeah, they gut it. They put for privatization, but they at least have to pretend to support nationalized health care. That's like not even a tenable position for a member of the Democratic Party. So Andrew Yang is not a centrist. He is not center right. The mainstream of our yeah, absolutely. That's a conversation for another day. NHS is completely ruined. Yeah, that probably wasn't the best example, I admit. But every single member in the establishment, every single person you see on CNN, every single person who has a platform is at least far right. If you want to go by this metric, I think it's more a class war. I think class war is more useful. This person is a millionaire, rich business person. That's why they support this. That's why the Elon Musk billionaire class supports this. Bringing Maduro to stand trial feels like a win for the region and the world. No. This is a gigantic blight on humanity and a sign of dark things to come. Because this essentially means that we have a rules-based order where Benjamin Netanyahu can fly across Europe in countries that have arrest warrants on him, give speeches to Congress as a convicted war criminal without being arrested, but Nicolas Maduro will be arrested for not selling on his people. This sets out if Andrew Yang was anything left of hard far right, he will understand that this is a horrific precedent to set. Like leaders being kidnapped, this is what you endorse. This is what libertarians are. Yeah, Yang is a libertarian. This is libertarianism in a nutshell. Remember, Dave Smith, Ian Carroll, the entire libertarian movement supported Donald Trump, and we will never let them forget it. The libertarian candidate did pathetically. 1%. Everyone else who libertarian supported the neocon regime, knowing that Trump was going to sell out. I don't buy their bullshit. They knew that Trump was going to sell to the Miriam Alderson neocon Zionist class. Now, here's the EU, who you can't hate more enough. Here, Kaja Kallas, the chief diplomat of the EU, who we covered so many times on this channel, who is nothing but a puppet of the imperial regime, which is why she has the unelected position that she has now. This person is an unelected oligarch who spent her time saying how we got to take over Russia and break up Russia into 15 different countries. You got to realize that what they want for Russia. Meanwhile, you got NATO left scum like Emma Vigeland, Majority Report, and TYT, who condemn Russia for the special military operation in Ukraine. Now do you guys understand why Russia can't have the West have any foothold in Ukraine? Does that seem like an unreasonable demand now, assholes? After you guys see what they did in Venezuela, you guys think it's unreasonable that Russia like, hey man, we need Ukraine as a buffer state. We don't want you guys anywhere near us. Russia's position was so reasonable, they saw the West give Sweden and Finland NATO membership, and Russia knew that the West did that to provoke nuclear war. So Russia was like, fuck it. If you really want Sweden and Finland to be part of NATO so bad, That's our concession. But we will not concede on Ukraine. How can anyone condemn that position? There are Russian patriots, I'm sure, who believe that's a weak position. Putin was mocked. They're like, I thought you said that Sweden joined NATO was your red line, Putin. Hey, take this. Sweden, you want to join NATO? We crossed your red line. The same thing they do with China. Hey, I heard Nancy Pelosi in the United States reps visiting Taiwan as a red line. Guess what? We're going to do it anyway. So despite all the red lines that the West continue to cross against Russia, they was like, all right, bro, we got to be the adults in the room to prevent nuclear war. But we will not concede on Ukraine because you guys are genocidal and you're batshit crazy, and we cannot have you guys that close on our border where we've been invaded by the Nazis and by Napoleon, and we had tens of millions of Russians die throughout the last few decades and centuries. Or century. So here comes Nicolas, and the top EU diplomat, who just spent all their time wanting us to hate Russia and condemning Russia, being weak and accepting illegal United States aggression against a sovereign state. Nicolas said, I have spoken with Marco Rubio and our ambassador in Caracas. The EU is closely monitoring the situation. No sanctions. They're just monitoring it. The EU has repeatedly stated that Mr. Maduro lacks legitimacy. Hey, good job, Zoran Mamdani. You guys see where the Zoran Mamdani left? Why I despise them? This is what they did. Every single dipshit leftist, like Bernie Sanders, who called Maduro a tyrant, they don't give a fuck about your butt. You can say butt all you want. I think Nicolas Maduro is a tyrant, but I don't think the West should get involved. Everything after that but is meaningless to our genocidal ruling class. They just need you to give them an inch. The second that you repeat propaganda, we got our end. We don't care. We don't care that you oppose our action. You gave us the legitimacy we need by repeating the fact that Nicolas Maduro has no legitimacy. So now that you help them establish that fact as a NATO leftist imperialist scumbag, they can take what you agree with them on and say, hey, this is why we got to do our action. Shut the fuck up, you woke leftist scum. So here's Kaja. The EU has repeatedly stated that Mr. Maduro lacks legitimacy and has defended a peaceful transition. Under all circumstances, the principle of international law and UN Charter must be respected. We call for restraint. Man, international law and the UN Charter has been destroyed after what Israel did to Gaza. And it's been destroyed here. There is no international law claim for what the United States government has done. You guys see how the EU fascists, they are with the United States hand in arm when it comes to this dismantling international law. You do not hate the EU enough. You do not hate Europe enough. You have NATO legislators. I can't believe that you support the special military operation. Yes, I want Russia to fuck the EU up. Fuck the genocidal EU. The same EU that wants to start a war with China, even though China did nothing but trade them things. Yeah, the Western Journal, the EU counts as, I love the EU, the United States pedophile elite. You will never catch me in a million years rooting for them over Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. You are out of your damn mind. I don't care what dipshit Americans say. I have like these MAGA chud accounts. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you rooted for Maduro and Putin. I'll be laughing like, fuck you. I'm the patriot because I want our government, I want our people to cooperate with the people of the world for the betterment of the American people. You are supporting oligarch in the talking points of the military-industrial complex like a good little goy bitch, and you think you're a patriot because you uncritically follow the propaganda of your country because you don't have any critical thinking skills. You're just cattle. You're sheep of the highest order. And that's what anyone who defends this is. That's what they think they're patriots. People are like people are legitimately confused by my position. It's crazy. People are confused by it's clear. If you want to hold our criminal ruling class accountable and you want to uplift our working class, you're the patriot. The ruling class is our enemy. They're doing everything they can to prevent that. So if you are a rah, I vote Democrat every 2 years, I vote Republican every 2 years, you're not a patriot. You're a bootlicker who is selling the rest of us out. So here's the EU, who has no credibility, supporting by inaction United States aggression and legitimizing United States aggression as something that is legitimate. Here's Keir Starmer, the fascist ruler of the UK. The UK that arrests over 30 people per day because of their social media posts. The UK is currently arresting doctors and stripping medical professionals of their work licenses because they criticize the genocide in Gaza that they are complicit with. Keir Starmer is one of the most barbaric traitors to his people that we ever seen. He admits that he has family in Israel and does nothing for the people of the UK. He cares just like Trump. The only thing he cares about is serving the state of Israel and serving Jewish supremacy. Hasn't done a damn thing to improve the life of people in the UK. And he's also a thief, stealing billions of Venezuelan gold, as this person brings up as well. Thank you for that great comment. I just so happy to see it. This has been a ranty ass stream. I miss our chat is going really fast. We got 4,500 people on X and YouTube. X is popping right now. X is crazy right now. I have neocons who make my day like, fuck you, Nick. Fuck, how dare you say fuck the troops? Yeah, I said it. What are you guys going to do about it? The only option that you guys have is killing me. What are you going to do? Shoot me? Take a murder charge? Because if any of you guys want to pull up during the RBN Mutual event, if you guys want to pull up any of my events, you can. I'm going to break your arm, though. I'm going to break your arm. If you guys think that I'm the guy you want to pull up in the street because you're offended at what I said, I'll go ahead. Make my day. How many years of Muay Thai do you got under your belt if you're one of the people on X who furious at me right now? There's so many like right-wingers who fear. They're like, Nick, where you at? Fuck, Nick, I wish you would, fam. I really wish you would. Fuck the troops. The UK has long supported a transition of power in Venezuela. We regarded Maduro as illegitimate president, and we shed no tears about the end of his regime. I reiterated my support for international law this morning. So, based on Keir Starmer's logic, which we know that these people are hypocritical, I view the majority of the world population now, we view Israel as an illegitimate entity. Palestinian resistance fighters in many of the working class Arab world, they view Israel as illegitimate. Benjamin Netanyahu is a convicted war criminal. He's an illegitimate leader. So are we allowed to engage in terrorism against the state of Israel? Will you support the Palestinians and the Arabs engaging in mass terrorist attacks against Israel because they are an illegitimate state that is blocking the creation of a Palestinian state? So you got to see how our barbaric ruling class is creating a system of might makes right. And that puts us in a dangerous position. Remember, it's the imperial boomerang. Everything that they test out overseas, they're more happy to bring back home. Why do you guys think they're building cop cities everywhere? Why do you guys think the police are training with the IDF? They're sending a message that, hey man, it's might makes right. So if you guys ever engage in mass general strikes and you guys actually ever become successful at challenging our power, we will take you out. How are people in the West, even if you're not a crazy tanky like me, how are you guys not uncomfortable giving our genocidal ruling class this kind of power? That's insane. You guys not suspicious? You guys not worried that they're gonna turn this imperial machine back at us like they do all the time? The way they use chemical warfare against the American people, like tear gas. When you guys know that tear gas is a war crime, you're not allowed to use that in war. A lot of Americans don't know that. The police has been caught lying about the effects of tear gas for decades. They say, "Oh, it's not a big deal. The human can handle it without no long-term effects." That is proven untrue. Studies have proven that untrue. Tear gas causes. There was a ton of people during the George Floyd protest. You can have miscarriages if you're pregnant. If you have any respiratory diseases like asthma, that could be fatal. It can cause long-term health negative benefits that you will suffer for the rest of your life. But the American people accept the government gassing them because they're like, oh, well, don't you know that tear gas is acceptable for the police to use? Why? Because we say so. Tear gas is illegal in international law. So you guys trust them to show restraint to us if we ever form a popular front? Why would anyone, if you study the history of humanity, this is why they want to keep you dumb. Why studying the history of tyrants and what they have done to their own population? Why would you want to give them this kind of power? They're right-wingers who are like, don't tread on me. I believe in small government. You are a shit lib. You are not conservative. You believe in giant governments that have the right to murder people without trial. That is what they support. That's even what Candace Owens supports. That's why she supported the murder of George Floyd. Don't you know that George Floyd was on drugs? So the police had the right to execute him. We are going down. This is becoming extremely dark, man. Let me finish this. The UK government will discuss the evolving situation with U.S. counterparts the days ahead. So this is you legitimizing the legal seizure of Venezuela as a state. Donald Trump said he's going to run it. He said American companies are ready to take over and sell off the resources of the Venezuelan people. The UK, the US, and Israel is a true axis of evil. This is what an axis of evil really look like. You can put France in there as well, obviously. I'm showing you guys the reaction of all the European leaders and how they don't believe in anything except being puppets of the United States government. You guys thought they care about international law because of what they said about Ukraine? These people are Jewish supremacists, Zionists, elites who wanted this kind of control over humanity forever. Like the Henry Kissinger class. Emmanuel Macron, before he was president, he was a Rothschild banker. Like there are Rothschilds literally tweeting. I literally saw a Rothschild bragging about this. Let me see if I can find it. The Rothschilds are extremely excited about what just happened in Venezuela. Damn, I really wish I could find this tweet. So this is what our pedophile elite ruling class always wanted. Here it is. Look, here's a Rothschild endorsing regime change in Venezuela. Meanwhile, there's an entire conservative movement that think they are the don't tread on me people, that they're the anti-authoritarian. No. You are a puppet of the Rothschilds. You're a cattle, goy sheep of the highest order if you're supporting Nicolas Maduro being deposed. You're directly doing the bidding of the fucking Rothschild if you're cheering this on. Can you imagine being that much of a fucking brainless bootlicker? I get to some comments soon, I promise. I see we got so many good comments I wish I can read, but I'm already going super long, and I'm only scratching the surface of what I wanted to cover today. So I'm trying to speed this up. I'm not doing a good job at it though, because I also want to read some chats, see any breaking news stories. Hope you guys enjoying the stream. Dude, the number that we put on X is crazy right now. Like we got like 313 people on YouTube. The number I'm seeing, I don't know if this number is right or not, but they said there's like 5,000 people watching. There's like 4,000 people on my Twitter page. That can't be fucking real. I know there are a lot of fucking neocons fuming at me right now. I tell you guys, I'm always down for the funk. Like I had a lot of viral tweets in the right, and there are a lot of neocons furious at me because what I said about the troops. But I gained like 1,000 followers in the last 24 hours. I'm done. Look, this can't be real. Either way, we out here. Yeah, it is. Jesus Christ, X is popping right now. All right, let's finish this. Emmanuel Macron tweet. I think X be lying about their numbers, bro. The Venezuelan people are today. Sorry, the Venezuelan people today. Oh, I think that translation error. They're essentially saying the Venezuelan people are rejoiced about this. The grammar is very bad at the translation. By seizing power and trampling on fundamental freedoms, Nicolas Maduro has dealt a grave blow to the dignity of his own people. Fam, they are literally arresting people in Germany and the UK for posting and criticizing their government's involvement in genocide. So basically, you guys see how they are establishing this pure might make right mentality that no one should accept. You're not a patriot if you accept this. You're just granting them power. So they keep saying this is the messaging that you're going to see come from these European leaders, these people who pretend to care about international law when fighting against Putin. They're going to say this is, of course, a good thing because with Nicolas Maduro, the freedoms that he took away from his people. As you have the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism being rolled out in red states and blue states all over the country. They're using that in California, and it's in Florida. The free speech rights of the American people have been trampled on, but it's way worse in Germany and the UK. So the people of Venezuela are way more free than the people of the West. Way more free under Maduro. People criticize Nicolas Maduro for being a tyrant, but isn't it clear that Nicolas Maduro's downfall is because he wasn't enough of a tyrant? I told you guys before that Nicolas Maduro has went way too easy on his opposition, allowed way too. I won't say that, but this is why he allowed way too many pro-Western, pro-U.S. intervention forces breathe. And the fact that he wasn't a true dictator, the fact that he wasn't a true tyrant is what led to this. And this is why Nicolas Maduro is someone who will go down as a hero by the global majority. Not in the United States, never here. I'm not that delusional. But we are the global minority. The global majority will remember Maduro as a person who never sold out his people. He could have sold out his people. Yeah, kidnapped. I'm sorry. It's very important to remember he was kidnapped. He probably could have became this tyrant that he already like whenever he was accused of being a tyrant, he denied it. He denied being a tyrant. He promoted democratic principles. And that arguably was his downfall. Probably. I can see the theory on why that would be. I don't feel like reading the rest of the comment. Essentially, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, they all support this. Here he is supporting the transition, even legitimizing the idea of a transition. The transition to come must be peaceful, democratic, and respectful to the will of the Venezuelan people. Spoiler alert, it will not. It will absolutely not be respectful of the democratic people, Venezuelan people, and it will not be peaceful. It will come from the forced subjugation of the Venezuelan people, where even if there is not violence, that is not peace. The subjugation of a population to force them to do the bidding of a larger government, that will never be peace. The Wall Street capitalists waiting to loot your country, you will never face peace. Venezuela will never be a sovereign country until they expel all the Western Yankees that will become infested in their country. That anyone who have anything to do with this. So I'll read this and I'll get to some comments. Wall Street is already at the ready. So Wall Street is already licking their fingers here. About 20 business leaders, including those from some of the top hedge funds and asset managers, are preparing to go on a March trip to Venezuela to look at investment opportunities. They're including energy and infrastructure. So I know it probably won't happen because the Venezuelan people have a conscience. The enemies of the empire, they have morals, and they try to bring humanity back to a peaceful coexistence as a whole. But as these business leaders go to Venezuela, there will be nothing better than if the Venezuelan people captured, kidnapped them, and held them for ransom and demand that Nicolas Maduro be returned to Venezuela. Any American, anyone who set foot in Venezuela is a fair target to hold as ransom until they get their leader back, until the United States restore their sovereignty. So it will be great for the Venezuelan people. I don't think they would do it, but it will be great for the Venezuelan people and for humanity if Venezuela captured these business people, put them at the gun, and tell them to leave our country alone, return Maduro, or these people will meet their fate. That has to happen, guys. There has to be a resistance because without any deterrence, they won't stop. They already floating the idea at going after Iran now. The Zionist neocons are emboldened, the likes we never seen before. So Iran is next. They already have their Mossad on the ground, creating color protests and revolutions that they are forcing their government to use force to stop. So without any deterrence, without any strategy, we're going to see the global majority, especially in the Western Hemisphere, and under the reestablishment of the Monroe Doctrine, lead to mass suffering and the complete erasure of sovereignty of the Venezuelan people. So that's what I hope to see as business people cross over and brainstorm how they're going to steal the resources of the Venezuelan people. I really wish I believed this, man. I really wish I do. But the ruling class has been locked in, and Iran has. You have to realize. I think you have to realize a lot of the radicals in Iran was already killed. Like the Mossad murdered a lot of these people already. The government in Iran now is actually extremely liberal. Extremely. What's the best way to put it? Let's just say the revolutionaries already been murdered. Like, I hope I'm wrong here, but I'm not relying on Iran. I don't think Iran gonna be able to stop this monster. I think we have to. I think Iran is fucked, man. If I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys, I think the Middle East is cooked. We might as well bank the Israeli Greater Israel Project. The Greater Israel Project is already done. Like you might as well bank it. The Isaac Accords, the complete destruction of the sovereignty in South America, appointing Zionist rulers, like this stuff is already done, man. I think shit's not gonna get better until we force a mass uprising using general strikes and build an anti-war movement of mass dissidents. Because once again, log off. Don't fall for dead internet theories. Don't fall for the neocon accounts, the neocon bots we're seeing online. The American people are opposed to this. The American people want peace. The American people want cooperation. So we must find a way to reach them. We must find a way to activate the people, and we must hit the streets today. Not only hit the streets, we can't just do protests. We need to find a way to have a mass mobilization to challenge the power of the ruling class. How are we going to do that? That's why we need to come together and brainstorm such a thing. That's the big goal of mine this year is who haven't we reached at RBN? Who have I failed to reach? Why are we failing to reach people? Why is the revolutionary message being missed on many? We will find a solution to this question. I am obsessed to finding the solution to this question. It is not about subscribers. It is not about followers. It is about we need people on board with our agenda, the agenda of the working class and the agenda for peace. So I know this is sad. I know this is a tough moment for peace lovers out there. But please do everything you can not to fall into nihilism. I know it's very easy to fall into nihilism. This is a very sick and twisted time that we're living in right now. Our ruling class is more emboldened than they ever been. But now is not time for us to fall into nihilism because we can't afford it. The Venezuelan people cannot afford it. Gaza can't afford it. The Palestinian people can't afford it. Are we going to sell out the global majority by checking out? I guess I just watch Netflix, man. I guess I just focus on my gaming, focus on my hobbies. No, it's okay for you to do that. Live a healthy life. Have hobbies. Have relationships. We gotta have happiness in our lives, but never ever forget the goal. Our goal my goal is to leave this planet off better than where I found it. Things must be better. The world order must be restored by the time my young cousins that I saw over the holidays. Once again, I was hoping my sister moved. I saw a lot of my cousins there. We was hoping move as a family unit, being around my nieces, my nephews. It's a divine order that I can't describe. Something that is telling me that we must destroy the Epstein class. It will be easy for me to sit back and I guess I have to focus on my martial arts. That's a big focus of mine. Focus on my martial arts. Deplugged in. Use that as therapy, but we have to come together. There has to be unity among the American working class that surpasses the unity that we see from the ruling class. You guys see how the ruling class, they're all in it together. They're all celebrating the fall of Maduro. I haven't seen the ruling class this happy in years. Like, they are united. We need the American working class to become that. We need to have revolutionary love for each other. I know it's going to be a tough assignment, but we got to push for it, friends. So let's read some super chats and we can begin to wrap up, I guess. Revolution isn't a choice. It's a burden. Absolutely. This is basic as hell. How do we go about mass mobilizing? Mutual aid is, I think, is the most important thing. It's showing up for your neighbors, forming your own socialist parties, socialist movements, and getting out there. Putting yourself, like RBN, we put ourselves out there. I was smeared. I was attacked by the establishment. I've been put on blacklist. I have threats to my life that you guys don't know about. I was smeared by even leftist group. Remember the people who tried to separate me from the chairman? We was organizing with Fred Hampton Jr. But there was people who wanted to stop that. The people from Black Liberation Media, all the liberals who tried to smear us to the Hampton family, and they failed because now our relationship is stronger than ever. Now that the Hampton family realized that they was told lies about us, so we got a strong relationship with them. So I put myself out there, and I took a lot of hits for that. We need people to do that. We need to. I don't know. As angry and as sad as you guys are with the news that we've been faced to cover with the genocide in Gaza, the fall of Syria, and now the fall of Venezuela, that sadness is nothing but motivation to me. Like, I'd be up at night cursing our ruling class, and I decide I will never give up, at least. We started our own chapters. We still got a lot of work. I'm trying to reestablish RBN mutual aid. I have a bunch of ACP people. We're gonna do some RBN socialist mutual aid drives in Missouri this year. I want to do something else for the summer. Like we just gotta build organizations. Like reject revolutionary adventurism. Reject anarchist theory that leads to nothing. Like anarchists, like we know no political parties, man. No. We need political parties. We need mass organizations, and we need a plan, and we need something to tell people, a platform, if you will, on how we can improve people's life. It's possible, guys. It's 100% possible. We just gotta put in the work. Absolutely. As much as I would love to read even more comments from the chat, is moving too fast. Unfortunately, we need to establish a level of unity that is more powerful than the influence of rich. Yeah, we need to change the culture. And I think it started with our generation. Our generation approves of socialism and class warfare more than Gen X and Boomers by a mile. Once again, if you're a Boomer comrade and if you're a Gen X comrade, I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying this as a fact. You know what I mean? Like I'm not being ageist. I'm not attacking you. It's just a fact that anti-communist propaganda rotted the minds of Boomers and rotted the minds of Gen X people. They're the born in the USA, freedom, freedom, freedom generation. Their minds was rotted by anti-communism, and their mind was rotted by individualism. So they're largely cooked. The anarchists, they're cooked. But our generation, we have a possibility to create a brand new culture of working class collaboration that the ruling class never had to contend with. We can learn from the mistakes of previous revolution. We're in a situation we got history on our side, history that other people didn't have to study. Let's study history, learn from the mistakes of revolutionary movements, and come together and better ourselves. Reject liberal cancel culture, reject the culture war that is meant to distract us, and let's get to work. If you feel in this some type of way, and I am, like for all the neocon bots and trolls that are like, Nick, I know you're in shambles. Yes, that is what it means to be human. I am unapologetically in shambles about what happened to Maduro. He was a fantastic leader who did everything he could for the people. So to see him in chains, to see neocons dance on his grave, it hurts. It should hurt you. It should hurt that our ruling class is lawless, that they feel like they can get away with anything. But we turn that into fuel. The same way that the butterflies, like I stepped into the cage. I've been in high pressure athletic situations. And in those situations, like for example, when you step in the cage, you get butterflies, you feel afraid. But butterflies can be harnessed into energy. That's how you compete. That's how you perform at the highest level. I grew up with a speech impediment. I'm not naturally a good speaker. You guys think I'm not nervous as fuck every time I go on stream? Like, man, this man, people gonna make fun of my lips. People gonna make way out. Like, I'm nervous every single time I get on stream, but I take those butterflies and I manifest that into fuel, and then I get on rant and I kill the game. We gotta do that with our anger and our depression, at how the ruling class get away with crime. We gotta turn that to fuel. We gotta turn that into motivation. Like if you was on the couch, if you feel like you wasn't doing enough, use the pain that we suffered we inflicted as a people on the global majority as fuel to inspire you to make change. Because we failed the Venezuelan people. We failed the people in Palestine. But now it's time for us to organize and make up for that. So I appreciate you guys for joining me on this therapy stream. Discussing everything that went down in Venezuela. All right, I guess I got some more super chats. Let me read some supers. Thank you for 499. Thank you for always being revolutionary. I'm Gen X and I'm grateful for your voice. Much respect to all like you guys see, I don't bad Gen X and Boomers because I'm ages. I'm just doing an analysis. The analysis is, no matter if it hurts your feelings or not, Boomers and Gen X have been largely counter-revolutionary, and it's why the working class is in the position that we're in now. But with that said, can you imagine being a comrade, Gen X and Boomer? Can you imagine being a Boomer communist? Do you understand how based and how amazing our Gen X and Boomer communist friends and revolutionaries are? Every single Gen X and Boomer revolutionary had decades of Reaganite propaganda blasted towards them. Every minute, every hour of their life, they got hit with the same propaganda that led Boomers into being bootlickers for capitalism. They took that same propaganda and they looked at the ruling class and they said, fuck you. So guys, when I go after Boomers and Gen X, if you gotta know that comes with On the other side of that, I have massive respect for the revolutionaries who've been barely hanging on for decades, who had the threat of the FBI, the police stayed after them. These motherfuckers have been fighters. So the guys, it is not a dismissal of the entire generation. I'm just doing an analysis of the facts that you guys have been left alone by your class trader neighbors that you grew up with in Gen X and Boomers, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. As you was a revolutionary, you were shunned politically by your Gen X friends and Boomers neighbors. And I really hope, because it's not a foregone conclusion, I really hope that millennials do not go through the same thing. Where we betray each other, where we turn more conservative and we get a piece of the pie. Because some of you guys are going to get a piece of the pie soon, maybe. Maybe you guys find a good job. Maybe you might get generational wealth. I really hope. Because it is not a foregone conclusion with millennials and Gen X, with Gen Z yet. But I hope we learn from the mistake that Boomers and Gen X made. You guys should connect us in Philly. We just started our mutual aid chapter there. Yeah, anyone who's doing mutual aid, we want to be connected with on RBN. Like I want to do an event with ACP and a few other people. Literally anyone who want to go in Missouri. Like we need to get some shit popping. I was talking to a lot of people behind the scene. We need to get some shit popping right now. And big shout out to Global Sis and anyone who's willing to help us resist this genocidal machine we fight against. I'm sick about this, bro. Yeah, I'm sick too. No air defense went off either, it appears. Someone betrayed the Bolivian revolution. We will never know what happened until many, many years, many analysis. This is the event that happened last night that is going to be analyzed for quite some time, and the global impact cannot be overstated. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but Cuba is fucked. The allyship between Venezuela and BRICS nations, like Russia and China, is going to be forever changed. Like, this is crazy. Absolutely. The left begins at being completely anti-capitalist. 100% agree. 100% agree. Algorithm pumping vids of all. Yeah. There's like fucking 10 people. We know, like, there was polls done beforehand. Like, there have been independent polls. Like, 90%. I don't remember the exact number. Let's see if I can find it. It was like 96% of Venezuelans opposed regime change. Even people who didn't like Maduro. I covered this on our stream. Of Venezuelans who oppose regime change. So then you want to tell me that people change their mind now? Get the fuck out of here. You got to be a slack jaw American idiot to believe any of the propaganda we are seeing on MSNBC, CNN. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of propaganda reports. You guys know I love breaking down neocon propaganda. It's going to be a brutal week, man. We're going to have a lot of brutal segments of us hearing General Jack Keane and these NATO puppets. Like on MSNBC and CNN, they are celebrating this. You know how much neocons are being insufferable right now? They are so insufferable that MSNBC and CNN is giving Trump props. Like, you know how static they gotta be? They dropped the Trump derangement syndrome. Hell, they might even become more pro-Trump. Like I told you, in like 20 years, that's not even that long. I'm tripping. In a few years, you're gonna see them talk about Donald Trump the same way they talk about Ronald Reagan. It's only a matter of time. I told you guys the rehabilitation is coming. The rehabilitation is coming. Me too, Nick. 100% tanky. Like, at least I have the tanky audience on lockdown on YouTube. As we continue to grow the channel, we're still a small channel, but best believe the tankies are watching though. It'll be better for my YouTube channel if I scale it back. You know what I mean? Pretend to be more of a social difference. Nah, we're not doing that, fam. I'm either getting 100,000 followers being a fucking tanky, or I'm not getting 100,000 followers at all. I'm not. There's not going to be any moderating my opinions here. What's the point? Like you say, like the people who moderate their opinions so they get more subscribers. What's the fucking point of doing that? If I'm going to tell you guys, if I was going to say some shit that I didn't believe just to make money, I would go back to selling cars. Yeah, bro. So you guys know we got to go ahead making this channel not savvy Jamal, but we're not doing it unless we're full tanky. If it's not possible to have a 100K tanky YouTube channel, then I guess we're not gonna have it. Because guess what's not gonna change? I'm gonna continue to be. I'm that guy who, I'm the chaos agent that probes and drag discourse to the left. I did that with Marianne Williamson. I forced them to defend the two-state solution. We do that on the NATO proxy war. We do it on reparations. We do it on Palestine. That's our job, no matter how many subscribers and viewers we have. We are there to be the agents to drag people to the left and be persuasive, not following where the winds blow. I'm on God on that. I will never, ever chase subscribers instead of telling my truth. I think I caught up. I appreciate you guys for watching. This is a 2-hour therapy stream. 2 hours of therapy. On Monday, it's either going to be Monday or Wednesday, but I think she said she's free on Monday. I'm going to try to have Sarah from DDG. Me and Jamal Thomas, we are starting a show that will be airing every Sunday. So there's going to be a Sunday, new Sunday show. There's going to be a lot of new programs added on the channel. Like there's a lot I'm working on. You guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. So thank you guys for watching. I'll be back on Monday with DD Geopolitics. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Take